want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule great millstone while, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure unto the end. Shalom wa abba. All right, so Matthew 2, it's going into the birth of our Messiah, Yahweh Shai. All right, which the world ignorantly calls him Jesus Christ, and it says that he's so-called white. But according to the biblical prophecy and history, he is described as a so-called black man. He came out of the tribe of Judah of the nation of Israel, and he said himself, he's here for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and we were lost because we've been scattered in slavery and the heathen devoured us. All right, but when he was born, he was persecuted by the Greek Edomite Herod, all right, which we're having the same thing happen to us today, all right. It says in Matthew 2, verse 1, now when Yahweh Shai, which it says Jesus, which is a false name, the true name is Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai, which is he saves. The Father's name is Yahweh, and it means he is, all right, and the Son's name is Yahweh Shai. When you go into that name, Jesus puts in the Greek Jesus because the J didn't exist, all right? And when you come to the etymology, the truth about the word, it's of Hebrew origin, not Greek nor English. Now, when you go to the Greek lexicon, it shows you the true name here, Yahweh Shai, right to left, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai. And when you translate it, it gives you Joshua, which is a closer translation than Jesus. Jesus is a made-up word, all right? Showing you that the so-called white man, the red devil the Bible speaks of, intentionally tries to deceive the world. It says in Matthew 2, verse 1, now when Yahweh Shai was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, which they were coming out of, which is east, which is the Assyrian kingdom came out of the east, and it conquered the Israelites. So these were Israelites that were children of those that were taken into the Babylonian captivity. All right, so they were coming from the east to the west. Jerusalem was in the west of the Assyrian kingdom, all right, the Assyrian Babylonian kingdom. So they're coming out of the land which they grew up in, all right. So the northern kingdom went into the Assyrian captivity first, and then the southern kingdom went in later. But here's a map. So Israel, right, is next to the Mediterranean Sea, and they were taken into captivity in Babylon, which we were scattered throughout all this land up here. All right. That's why you had Jonah in Nineveh, all right, and Apostle Paul going up to Syria, all right, because we were scattered throughout that land. All right, so they were coming from the east to the land of Israel because they knew of the prophecies. All right. It says, verse 1, now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. When Herod the king, which is a Greek Edomite, had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And what it was such a large convoy of wealthy men that were Israelites coming from the east to worship Yahushua. It put fear into Herod. All right, they show you at the nativity of these false religions like Christianity, 3 wise men. It wasn't 3; it was an army it was an army of Israelite men coming from the east that were rich and coming to worship Yahushua as an infant. It says, and when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he demanded of them where Hamashiach should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet. So they were being led by the prophecies, which they also seen, which they described as a star in the heavens, which we know it is a chariot that led them. All right. And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of these shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel, which is the prophecy. The Messiah is in the Old Testament. This is why we should eat the whole roll. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. So the chariot, which is being told to you as a star, led them from the east to his home where he was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child, Yahushua, with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. The gold represents the wealth of him being the King of Kings. The frankincense and myrrh, it says that his garments smell like myrrh, and the frankincense are the prayer of the saints. And being warned of Yahweh in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. So pretty much he wanted to destroy Yahushua, Herod did, because he seen it as a threat to the throne, which this is happening right now under Nero. All right, with Yahushua coming back, and we're prophesying of it as wise men of the nation of Israel. The Edomites, which are oppressing us, which got us subject to payment, enslaved through this, subject to payment, they're upset because they hear us prophesying of the new, the return, the new song. The new song is of Yahushua's return. All right, the gospel. It says in 13, and when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph, which was the father of Yahushua, which made him the lineage of King David, in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, which you had Israelites in Egypt, and be thou there till I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. And this is what they're doing right now. They're not seeking a child. They're seeking the children of Israel, the sons of Israel that are cleaving to the prophecy of Yahushai's return. And the Edomites, which are today called the so-called white race, which ruled the world, they are the wicked. They're coming down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. Verse 14, when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, which this is why we're here in America, all right, in a spiritual sense, because when they persecuted Yahushua, it was prophesied that even the elect would be persecuted and hidden. All right, it says in Revelation 12, verse 1, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, which this woman is Israel, and we have wisdom. And upon her head a crown of 12 stars, which represents the 12 tribes of Israel. And she being with child cried, the child being Yahushai, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, which is Esau, and they had their leadership, which was ruling over the Israelites like Herod, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads, which the Roman Empire, you had the Greek head, the Roman head, and you had the allies of Rome, all right, which were of those nations back then. You had the Japheth, all right, but then eventually eventually the Edomites took over these nations, and this is where you have today the Greeks, the Romans, the French, the British, the Spanish, and the Germana Major, Germana Minor today. But when it was in the past, the Romans had their allies. See, it says, I put allies of Rome. Rome had a vast network of allies, both ancient and modern, ranging from the Italian city-states like the Samnites and Latins to foreign kingdoms and tribes such as Armenia, Egypt under Cleopatra, and various Germanic and Frankish tribes, all right, which they conquered the modern world back then, all right. You had different nations rule the world, which the modern world was wrapped around this Mediterranean Sea in the past. Nowadays, you have 8 billion people, but in the past, you had everybody able to live around this Mediterranean Sea. All right. So it says, verse 4, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth, which we were cast out of that land in 70 AD. You had 3 tribes left in that land, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. The Messiah came out of Judah, all right? But they were chased out of that land in 70 AD under the Roman Titus, all right? It says, and the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So Herod wanted to murder Yahushai. It says, and she brought forth a man-child, which was Yahushai, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto our power and to his throne, and the woman fled into the wilderness. So Yahushua was crucified, died, and resurrected sits at the right hand of the Father now in heaven, waiting for his turn to come back and save his people, which we've been set into a wilderness. America is a place of dry bones where the Israelites forgot who they were. It says, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of our power that she should feed her, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. All right, which when you go into this word heaven, all right, we're in a spiritual war right now, but it's eventually going to come to a point where the Lord is going to come back to this reality and save us with the angels to gather us and fight for us. So that word there,
Uranas. Strong's G 3772.
Uranas, it says the heavens, the vaulted expanse of the sky, the universe. But when you come down, it tells you especially the gospel. All right. So we're in a war, a spiritual war. All right. And our weapons of war are not carnal, but spiritual. And why? Because we're tearing down the strongholds which these Edomites set up, which they set up lies like that image of who they called Jesus Christ. All right. Which is a goddamn lie. All right. So it says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, which is Esau. And the dragon fought and his angels, which they have witches and warlocks. It says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven, which they're going to be put into slavery, and they're not going to be allowed to rise and rule the world anymore. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, which is the devil, called the devil, the deceiver, and Satan, and also the accuser of our brethren, which deceiveth the whole world with their false image, Jesus Christ. That's a goddamn lie. Also, they're going to manipulate the people with lies, deceiving them into receiving an implantable microchip. It says he was cast out into the earth. He's going to be made a slave, and his angels were cast out with him, which the military, it tells you here in Matthew 25 and 41. It says, verse 41, then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, talking about the reprobate Israelite, the 2/3, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. The devil is this so-called white race that deceives and accuses the Israelites, and his angels, his military, all right, which this is what the nuclear missile was created for, all right. The Lord's going to bring them down just as he done to Sodom and Gomorrah, which is Isaiah 13 and 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children, and Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, talking about America, which was built in witchcraft against the Israelite, shall be as when our power overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, which it was fire from heaven. All right. which you can see the images of this place, which now is a desert. All right, it's a desert, but as you can see, fire came down from heaven, and today it's going to happen the same as it did happen in Sodom and Gomorrah, which you have the angels, which are there looking for the righteous, right? Which in that time it was righteous Lot, and he had 2 daughters that were engaged but not married yet, which their husbands refused to leave the city, and they were destroyed in the city. And even Lot's wife, because she looked back and became a pillar of salt. All right. But this is going to happen again through nuclear missiles. All right. It's prophesied that all these countries that are allies with America, they're going to turn on America and destroy this place with fire. It says in Obadiah verse 7, it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. And it says, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau, which he did by them forgetting who we are and the power that is associated with us, all right, through an inheritance. And thy mighty men, O Teman, the German, it says, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. So all the Edomites are going to be made extinct. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, the Israelite, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Going down to 15, it says, for the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, which we're going to be delivered at the return of Yahushua. And there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, which the holiness is not of our own, but of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. Isaiah 14:1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, which he did this through Yahushai, and set them in their own land. When he sends Yahushai back, Yahushai is going to pick us up and give us new bodies, cleansing the land with fire, and we're going to return to that land, and the Edomites and these other nations that are in the bunkers, they're going to be put in slavery, and we're going to rule with an iron rod, an iron fist, to re-educate the nations. At the end of this 1,000 years, Edom, the so-called white race, will be made extinct according to biblical prophecy. And the strangers shall be joined with them, which are Israelites, and they're joining to us through the internet. We got the unicorn. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, which they're going to learn the truth, because this whole time you were being taught a lie. See, you was taught a lie by the so-called white race. And this lie is being destroyed every day by the truth. And this is why the devil has to come down with great wrath, knowing that he had but a short time. Shalom to the elect wa abababo.